Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Alisha here at Cosmic Gateway, bringing you the official first roundtable for 2021. I'm joined here by Ana. We've got Nick and we've got Donovan. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Super excited. I mean, we're just over a week in and so much has already happened. It's quite crazy and it certainly hasn't disappointed so far. So, I thought bringing you guys on today, the three main things that come to my mind that I think are the most prevalent and most important is, of course, obviously what's happening with the politics in the US. And Donovan, I really hope to get your perspective and vantage point on that. I've seen some of the lives that you've been doing, and obviously we share our little intel in our group that we have. So I'm looking forward for you to unpack that and also the downloads that you've got. Super excited about that. But also, to cover what's happening in Australia as well, because now we're facing new lockdowns in different states or different cities around Australia. And different mandates of masks, and love to hear. I know you've been in the thick of it, Nick, and doing some amazing work out there in the field. And I guess the third component is the energetics of what, Ana and I have been, having frantic multiple phone calls per day going, what is going on? And there's this massive, from my vantage point, there's this massive timeline shift that has been in progress. And I would like to talk a little bit about how I see that. And, and maybe we can talk through that a little bit, Ana, because you were there for me the other day when I was in a complete disarray of not understanding what was going on until obviously that shift happens. And then all that understanding starts to come through. And obviously, Ana, you have some interesting points off recording. We were talking about the different aspects of mask wearing and things like that. So a lot to cover today. Super excited. Where to begin? Who wants to jump in and start first?
I think Donovan should, considering the amount of information he's withholding.
Yes.
Feeling a bit excited.
Well, look, it's interesting because at the point that we're at right now, it's almost like this big noise, like everything happening with the Twitter, the censoring and everything. And yesterday when I woke up in the morning and found out Trump's Twitter had been taken down, I could just feel it. Like you could feel it. People were just, there was so much activity. People were just going absolutely mental. Like, oh my God, it's begun. This is really happening. And it's kind of like, wow, we really have arrived at the point where things are going to just unfold so quickly. And I heard on the mainstream, because I was saying to you earlier, I listen to mainstream radio when I'm doing my job. And because that's all I'm allowed to. And a political commentator from Australia, a guy, was saying that, they used to say that a week is a really long time in politics. And he's like, but now 24 hours feels like an eternity.
Right.
Like just the amount of, and the potency of what happened in that 24-hour period leading up to this point is just like, right, so the next 12 days is going to be reality changing, earth changing, humanity changing, this next 12 days that we're talking about between now and the 20th of January. But then also when I get into the numbers later, I'll talk about how that's actually, there's a lot of codes that have been given that's showing the energy shift points being around March and around May. Yeah. And I know, Alisha, you've tapped into that yourself, but we're literally in the eye of a storm right now. And I even find myself at points just going, all right, hands off, put the phone down, just stop, because it's so much. You've got the lockdowns, you've got the COVID-y stuff going on over here. Then you've got strain. Right. Then you've got the US political situation. Then you've got this, this great conjunction energy that's at full force still, like the power the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction and how that's playing its role. And then Mars is coming into the picture now as the god of war. and and then there's the full higher level kind of spiritual energetic stuff that's happening simultaneously. So it's like you can flip between feeling completely pulled into like a 3D state 1 minute, then something in between, whether you call it 4D or whatever, and then you've got that higher aspect, and we're just flipping all the time and moving between them. And I think that's why dream state's so active, because we're pulling in multi-dimensionally on every level all this information, and each and every one of us is a vessel for, okay, what are we going to do with it? Like it can be almost overwhelming. Would you agree with that, Alisha?
100%. And I'm sort of casting back. I did a post last night because I've been in probably the biggest energetic shift I've ever experienced so far. And what it lines up to for me was on the 6th, it was so surreal for me. I literally felt like I was outside of my body, observing and watching what was happening. And I kept, as I mentioned to you, I kept tapping in. So 5 years ago, I had a dream about all this unfolding, almost exactly to how it's unfolding right now. So I was sort of watching everything going on, going, oh my good, like I've seen this before. It was like a deja vu moment that went all day and all night. And I was just scratching my head going, I can't believe we're actually here. Like we've been working so hard, and I think I said this in my post, like we've been working so hard to get to this point, no matter what your role has been. And now we're here and it's like, I have all this excitement. I have all this like confusion. I have all this energy. I don't really know what to do with myself, but it's exciting. And I just want to sort of back it up a little bit because for me, it was sort of around New Year's Eve that I hit this real plateau, like this really intense sort of deep process of probably one of the heaviest purges I've been through. It felt like a culmination point of, let's say, the last 5-year cycle, perhaps. And it was like all the things that had come up for me in that were like kind of squeezed through the eye of the needle, if you will. And then as we moved into the new year, I was just in a place of feeling tapped out, feeling disoriented. And I really couldn't make sense of it until we got to the 6th. And it felt like that entire week was such a significant, like being ripped out of one timeline and then placed on another. And ever since then, I've been in a much, much higher energetic state that is quite euphoric and blissful, to be honest. And the vision or imagery that I was getting is that it kind of felt like being pushed through it to then hold that higher timeline. And I think there's a lot of people who I've spoken to who went through a very similar process. And it's almost like there's some who are anchoring in that energy. And then there's other people who are doing the warrior mode and the fighting, the battling and the oscillating. But ultimately, we're all being pulled into, this beautiful, what's coming is beautiful. But it's going to take a couple of months to unravel. And I think everyone has very important jobs. And I think also what I want to say is that it's not a time for comparison. It's really not a time for comparison or judging or, because I think that there are people whose role is to do the dismantling and being in that warrior mode or angry or aggressive, because there's this massive friction happening that's creating that shift to move forward. And I know that I've spoken to a couple of people and they're feeling, so I just want to say this because I'm sure if a couple of people are feeling that way, then a lot of people may be feeling that way, is that it's like being confused about like, should I be in the political stuff fighting, but it doesn't feel right because I'm in this really lovely energy space. And, if I get dragged in there, I get dragged under. And it's like, no, not everyone needs to be in that particular, space. We're all holding at different points. And, that's where we're really all in this together. We all have different roles and each one is equally valuable. But yeah, it's a really surreal time right now.
I can vouch for that, Alicia, because with the whole political stuff, I mean, when Vic first went into the lockdown, as you know, I got a little bit passionate about it. But you know, the current events with Trump and the election and all that, like I'm just allowing myself to read enough, so I'm up to date, but not getting involved because I am one of those people that gets dragged down. So thanks to you guys for keeping us updated. I don't have to watch and read so many things, you know. Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about you guys, and I guess we'll do a shout out to Dale too, who unfortunately couldn't make this roundtable, but he's got some important work to do, and he'll join us on the next one. And by then, so much more will have happened to unpack, I'm sure. But it's you guys that it's almost like the men are in there doing the fighting. That's sort of how I feel, you know, and. I've always, you know, been grateful for the people like you who go in and can sort of go in and dissect it all, and then, you know, sort of feed me the updates of what I need to know, and then I'll on my way I go again and do what I need to do. So it's a real team community effort. Well done, guys.
Because to expand on that, for the first time, I feel like things are heading in that right direction. And over the last couple of days, I've felt like if I really wanted to pull right back from the political stuff, the protesting and all of that, I could. I feel like things have shifted, and though it might not seem like it, we were told that this is what it would feel like. And that indicates to me that everything's going according to plan. And like I say, for the first time, I feel like if I really wanted to, I could just pull back, go inward, and keep to myself on all this.
Do you feel that like you get called to like almost go to war and then get out? Like it's like, all right, I've got to go post, do this, and then pull back. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like the censorship situation at the moment is a good sign to do that for the time being. It's a little time for rest, recuperate, and, you know, sort of dip back in as required, because it is exhausting to be doing that all the time, you know, for long stretches, even a week, and you're suddenly ungrounded and all over the place.
Yeah. And I think
that's what I experienced yesterday upon waking with everything that happened. Just, it was so intense. I just ended up, I had to just follow and get as much information as quickly as possible, get through trying to discern truth from fact and from fiction and everything. And it was really overwhelming. I got really ungrounded yesterday, which is rare for me because I tend to be able to be in that space and not get sucked energetically or be affected by it, right? I just seem to be able to have this detachment to not get emotionally triggered or any of that. But when you were saying that, Nick, I got this immediate vision of like a relay where people are passing the baton to the next part of the team so that we get to have a rest. Almost like with the protest. So it's like, okay, we've done the posting, we've done the information, we've been the digital warriors, we've been the citizen journalists, we've done the work, and now so many people are starting to rise up. We can go, oh, here, you can take it from here, and then they're going out and doing the protesting, and you know. And back to you, Alisha, what you said about it, it's becoming so obvious that everyone has a very, very, very unique, special role, and never has there been a time where there's this sense, and I can feel it from you guys. There's this sense that like I'm really important and special in my own way right now, and I just have this knowing of how to and what to do, when to do it, without really thinking it too much, you know, like you're saying, Nick, you just know when to pull back, and then you know when to get in there and okay, I've really got to go now. And this sense that this divine uniqueness that we all have, now's the time where you can actually, under all the chaos, you can fully bring your unique self like never before. Does that make, that's what I'm feeling like.
100%. And I just want to add on to that something that I've observed through my own experience and also with clients, because I am back doing sessions. It took me a couple of days because I was in that deep integrative process, and if people are still in it, don't fight it. I mean, I'm the biggest fighter there is. When I go into the integrated process where I don't really feel like I'm here, it's like there's an aspect of me that's tapped out. And I've said this so many times, I think that because it's such a multi-dimensional process that's taking place, you know, I think that there's a lot of us that are in astral or dream space doing important work. It really is rotating shifts constantly, constantly. And, you know, that I find that when I'm in that space, that's where everything sort of ramps up in dream space. And so I've learned over the years to surrender and let go, because I know that there is an aspect of me out there doing something that I can't fully comprehend, but it doesn't allow me to function at full capacity in waking life in 3D. But this one was that and a little different. And I always get a bit like rattled because all of a sudden all my abilities get switched off. Intuition, can't tap in. And I'm like, this is my livelihood, you know, like it's like, you know, a carpenter who, you know, injures his hands or something like that. So I had to reschedule a couple of sessions. And when I have these glimpsing moments of like, no, it's okay. You're in an upgrade right now. And sure enough, you know, as you do on the 6th, no, sorry, it was on the 8th. I woke up, I'm like, oh, I'm back. Oh, okay, cool. And I jumped into my first session and I was like, holy shit, everything is ramped up and all these new abilities have come online for me. So I've got light language coming through, which is something I have begged for years. I'm like, oh, it's here now. What do I do with it? What do I do? You know, and I do see that happening for people is that, you know, so if you are being dialed down or switched off temporarily, it is only temporary. I think a lot of people are being, not only are our physical bodies upgrading with more light to anchor and hold while we go through this shift for the collective, but I think this is a year of a lot of multidimensional abilities coming online for other people, for a lot of people. So no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're new to it or you've been in it a long time, it's like going to that next level. So that's something that I see that's quite exciting.
Yeah, Nick, you shared you've been having some experiences this week or recently.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, we've got the mask mandate, our first mask mandate, and I refuse to comply. That's definitely my line in the sand. So we've experienced all of a sudden, it's the people who don't wear a mask versus the people who do. And there's so much angst and anger. There's certain shops that I've gone to for years and years and years, and my wife walked into that store without a mask and got told off. And we've known these people since we were kids, and they're literally treating people like garbage based on the fact that they're not willing to comply. They don't even give you a chance to give a valid exemption reason. Not that you should have to anyway. But I was also saying that even down to one of the local shopping centres, she was harassed by security over the mask. And it ended up where I'd gone down there without mine, not that I own one, and was walking through, and I walked past the exact same security guard, and me being a guy doesn't say anything to me. But the women seemed to cop it. So I had to ring them up and go down there and deal with it. And that problem's solved now. But it's it's been a big thing at the moment.
Took control of that, Nick, and that problem's solved now.
Oh, I just get angry. I get angry at stupidity and even inconsiderate people. There's such a broad range of reasons that are really valid, particularly mental health reasons. And I mean, you can read any number of memes that suggest even women who have been abused. The thought of wearing a mask is just not negotiable, and no one should be forcing anyone to give a reason, particularly in those circumstances, because that's such a personal issue. And so, I mean, that's part of the motivating factor with getting involved like that and just saying, no. I mean, I've had a fair few people sort of come after me online and things like that. And that sort of thing. So it's, but I mean, it's nothing compared to what some of these poor women are facing, particularly or even, a woman told me about her autistic son who they'd only just managed to get him to go to the shops on his own. And what happens? It's literally the second time and someone's abused him for not wearing a mask and all over Red Rover. You know, like it's not on.
And it's funny that you say that, Nick, that, you know, women tend to cop it more because, as I said before, the recording, I've spoken to men who prefer to wear the mask because they feel like men are targeted if they're walking around shopping centres without masks on.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said that because hopefully it will encourage them. I mean, it takes courage to go out in public without a mask on.
Yeah.
I have to admit, some days if I'm feeling vulnerable and I go out without my mask on, like it is hard. But we definitely need to see more people standing, even if they're wearing masks and it's around your chin. It's like, well, what do you stand up for? What do you believe in? Because it's on your chin. Clearly, you don't believe in it. So why are you doing it? I don't know. Just it'd be good to see more people really stand up for what they believe in and just not be half-assed about it.
I had a guy that I've known for years message me yesterday, and he was complaining about the mask. I don't know if he was just trying to bait me a little bit or not, but he was saying how, you know, I don't like recycling my carbon dioxide and stuff like that. I'm agreeing with him, and we messaged back and forth. And then by the end of it, he'd actually said to me that if I really believe in the cause, I need to be out doing more. He actually told me that I need to go and find police officers to confront without my mask, rather than just doing random Facebook videos and protesting in the city. I said, dude, I got arrested in Homebush. He said, yeah, but it's not Penrith. It's not where we live. We need to see you doing it where we live. And he's not doing anything. I'm like, dude, seriously. I said, I'm not your mama. I'm not here to, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm here to look after, I'll do what's best for me and my family. And I'll act on that. Anyone who wants to come along, great. But that's where it starts and ends. But it's like people have this savior complex. I mean, you get it you can get it with Trump even, you know, like everyone's wanting to be saved by someone rather than get in there and do the work and save themselves.
I'm so glad you said that because everyone I know is just like, Trump will save Australia, Trump will do this, Trump will do that. It's like, that just means you're sitting on your hands doing nothing when you should be working yourself. You should be speaking your truth. You should be more authentic. You should be educating yourself. But they're like, no, Trump will do it. I'm like, oh, my sword then. But
he's got that's going to
go, Anna, go.
That's going to expose stuff. But I was actually thinking about this earlier. But I mean, people are going to get exposed through all this. People in Australia as well. But we're going to have to remove them. Because they're not going to walk out.
Yeah, but the people will have to do that, Nick. You know,
that's right. That's what I mean. Yeah,
actually rise up and do
100%.
something.
Yeah, totally.
Nick, some of the protests going on today, I read some stuff on January. Well, it's supposed to be yesterday, I think, January 9th. Protests against what they're doing, and ever since the pandemic began, there's been all these little sneaky bits of legislation they're trying to get through Parliament, right? And the latest one is an amendment to the Defence Act. And what it's about is when they go next level with the lockdowns, actually changing the Defence Act so that the military can actually enforce and have the power to enforce the lockdown, whereas previously up till now, they've just been assisting, right? But however, the wording or whatever, you know, it's all legislation talk, so it's designed that way so you don't understand it, right? But it's to make sure that they can, when they go next level, because we can all feel they're going to try and go next level, right, with lockdowns and stuff, that the military can come in and actually start enforcing it, whereas previously they didn't have that power, and they're trying to slip these bits of legislation right under our noses while they're going, oh, go look over here, go look over there. And that's some of the stuff that's really important for, you know, Trump's not going to save that shit. Like, we got to do that ourselves. We got to get on the streets of Australia and say, hang on, this is our Australian government. There are things going on here we need to take care of. I agree, 100%. You know, Trump's working on a particular level of what he's bringing down. But that's, you know, certain elements of that huge elements of that will ripple to the whole globe. But we still have our own backyard where we've got to take action and do what we can. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
100%. And going back to what I was saying before, how we all have our role to play, you know, that Trump and what's happening over there in the US is just a fraction of it. But, you know, as more of this disclosure comes out, like, you know, that's where, you know, healers need to step forward. I mean, I've been thinking about this for years, but how are people going to cope when some of these harsh truths come out and come to light? I mean, I don't know how much they're going to bring out, but, you know, just dealing with the next door neighbor or the person down the street, you know, and, you know, there's so many different roles. And I agree that every day we can all make a difference and make physical shifts as well as we're making energetical shifts to stand up and path the way forward.
Well, you said they're dealing with your neighbours and stuff. That's something else that I was thinking of earlier today, that I think through what's going to happen over the next fortnight, there's a lot of people that are going to get really uncomfortable. They're going to be forced to confront things that they didn't want to confront. And they've probably been a little bit, what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance. They've just refused to believe it. And I think that's where we, as the people who have seen through it, need to be gentle with them and not, you know, you don't want to walk around saying, oh, we told you so. You know, I was right. You know, we all just leave the ego behind and be gentle with these people, because I think there's going to be very, very confronting for a lot of people.
Yeah. And you know what?
Yeah,
sorry, Anna, you go.
I was out for dinner the other night, and one of the girls, she's so sweet. She loves Obama, and I loved Obama too. I mean, I bought his book. Still haven't read it now, but anyway, if anyone wants it, you can have it. So she was just telling us about how much she loves Obama. So, and there are times when you think, do you go in and tell them, or do you hold back? Like, are they ready? Are they not? And I just thought, you know, in a really gentle, friendly way, we kind of red pilled her a little bit about Obama. And I mean, I don't know where she's at with it, but looking at her reaction, I thought I was there once. You know, I was angry, I was sad, thinking cognitive dissonance. So yeah, you're right, Nick.
I think I was there when you had that moment, Anna. I'm sorry.
Well, you're the one that red pilled me, so. But yeah, like you said, Nick, cognitive dissonance, you know, it's hard, but hopefully, fingers crossed. I think you do need to start talking the truth, or your truth, with people. Even my mum, you know, I've started talking to her about it. We still don't agree. We're not on the same page. But just have that conversation anyway, because you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went out for dinner the other night with a very, very dear friend of mine who I love and adore. And I went to test the waters, and I mentioned something about politics just to kind of gauge where things were at. And very quickly it was pretty apparent, you know, where he was at. And I couldn't even hold it. Normally, I think in the past, I would have been able to just kind of smile my way through it, but I couldn't. And I think there's just gentle approaches. And my gentle approach was every time he mentioned something, I pulled a face. It was one of those faces that I couldn't, and you know, that basically said everything. And I went, yeah, I don't think so. Yep, no. And there were certain words that were like muttering under my breath. I literally couldn't hold it anymore. I was like, oh goodness. And I felt that was enough. And straight away he picked that. He goes, look, we don't have to agree. I said, no, we don't. But you know, it's just going to be interesting that there is another side to what you believe too. But you know, there is that two realities playing out, and you can see it. And I you know, I know where I kind of sit on that scale. And I think there's people on, you know, it's a sliding scale, because there are, you know, there is the left and there is the right. And then there are people who are like literally holding neutrality to it all as well. And I think, Donovan, I think you were going to talk a little bit about that. But I think, yeah, love, kindness, compassion, and then send them to people who, you know, there's a lot of great people out there who do reveal the truth. And it's sort of like layering, isn't it? It's like education system. Red pill 1, kindergarten, loving, gentle conversation over dinner. And then from there, well, maybe go watch this video on YouTube, and the next level. So, you know, but I will say just one thing, you know, I had this thought come into my mind about the whole cognitive dissonance this morning. And I thought to myself, yeah, I was reflecting, I was thinking about people like you guys and Dale, and like how knee deep being in that world, and how knowing an absolute truth and knowing it is. And then, and also I'm thinking about my dad as well, and I thought, there really are people who have been incarnate lifetime after lifetime, who don't necessarily have never really had the cognitive dissonance, because they've known on a soul level the corruption that has taken place over millennia on this planet. And now we're finally the time to see the demise of that. But there's a lot of souls on the planet that wouldn't be privy to that on a human level, on a soul level. And they're the ones that we have to really sort of love and nurture through this process, because it is going to be really ugly for a time being. So
Yeah, this week I've started having pretty potent interactions with mum and dad about it, right? Because they've known for quite some time now, because I've been really upfront and honest, always am, with my family and with everyone. But and they know how much I have a pretty great love for Trump and what he's doing and what's happening. But it's funny because they're starting to engage more than they have before, but they're coming at me with, see, it's not true. None of it's true. It's all still conspiracy theory. There's no evidence, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, each time I get presented with this, and my sisters, I'm like, okay, each time I have to make that discerning choice. Okay, do I go for it? Do I take it on? Do I leave this one? Do I use my power of silence? And I just have to feel into it each time. Now, what's interesting, what you're saying about two realities, simultaneous kind of energies, all playing at the same time. So 2021 equals 5. Now, if anyone knows the number,
sorry.
Okay, all the things that you know about 5 equals change, okay? And it's the pivot, right? In a 9-year cycle, 9 years, 5 is the middle number. So what it feels like under the energy of 2021 as we get further into this year is, in each and every moment, fuck, it could go either way. It could go either way. It could go either way, right? And that is what we're experiencing, like, from the get-go since New Year's Day. Like, it's like, oh my God, is this really happening? Oh my God, is it going to go the way I think, or is it going to go completely the opposite way, right? And two realities playing out. And then, like I'm saying with my family, it's like they just can't see what I'm presenting to them. Yeah. They can't actually see it. And it reminds me of when Christopher Columbus actually sailed to America and discovered the land. Now, apparently, there's this story that there was an American Indian shaman standing on the beach looking out. Now, all his tribesmen were there with him, and they're all like, we can't see anything. And the shaman said, I can feel it. I can feel it's there, but no one could see it because of the cognitive dissonance. They couldn't, because they'd never seen a ship, they couldn't actually conceptualize what their eyes were telling them until he could let the vision and the energy of what he was feeling come into view in his mind's eye. And then as he just started to describe to them what he was seeing, it all started to come into view for all of them, and they could see the ship. And that's like, to me, that's a bit like when you're in the reality that, worldwide corruption, it's all linked, it's all connected, it's just too big, it couldn't possibly be true. You can't see. Like, some people, they literally cannot see, like you were saying, probably because of their soul journey as well. If they've just never had that exposure to and that knowing of what's going on this planet for so many thousands of years, you can't, if you can't conceptualize it, it causes you cognitive dissonance. You actually can't see it. Someone can be showing you hard evidence, right? Hard evidence, play an audio to you saying, here's someone who's done an affidavit saying they used the satellites that are leased by the Italian government, leased to the Vatican, and they use that technology to get to the Dominion voting systems to flip votes from Trump to Biden. And you hear them, you give them an audio, you show them pictures, you show them interviews, right? The affidavits, and they still go, no, that's not evidence. And I'm like, well, what is? And it's like, and yeah, it's been really intense having your knowings and still knowing that some people just cannot they can't grasp it, you know. And it is like, Nick, like what you were saying, it really tests your ego. It really tests your ego, because there's that part of you that wants to go, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Can you not see? Right. But that's, again, it's coming back to yourself and realizing that the most important thing at the moment is, okay, it doesn't matter to be proving anything right or wrong, or prove anyone else right or wrong or whatever. It's how we go about it, you know, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway. That's the bottom line, you know. The exposure of global corruption, it's going to happen anyway, whether people believe it or not. So that 5 energy, the pivot point, okay, so 5 is change. So we're at a pivot point in this 9 numerological universal year cycle. So we're right in the middle. Okay, so we've got that sense that things, so one of the key words for the 5 is unpredictability. So that's what we know about 2021. It is going to be as unpredictable as you can imagine, you know. I think even some of the best psychics in the world at the moment are holding back and going, oh, I don't want to say too much, because it seems to me I can see a clear timeline, but then it could change on me. It could flip.
100%.
And in one timeline, that would absolutely happen, but then shifting timelines, it's like, yeah, that was actually happening on that timeline, but the timeline shifted. And it's like, yeah, it's not the energy under which you want to be making big sweeping, you know, prophecies about what you absolutely know to be true is going to happen. But it's hard, because when you have these knowings, it's like you feel a responsibility that you need to bring that forward to help nurture people through the process, you know. But the 5 is the rebel. Okay, so it rules rebellion. It rules revolution. So I don't even need to explain that. I mean, we all can see what's happening on a global scale. There's an uprising, there's a revolution, and the inner rebel is coming out of everyone, right? Which unleashes the warrior and the fighter and the fight for justice, right? And good, and what needs to be stood up for. So that's the 5 energy. But so do you want me to keep going? Because I've got these other codes that I was given.
Oh, keep going, Donovan. This is exciting.
I mean, that's just any normal 5 universal year. That's what any numerologist will talk about. They'll talk about change, unpredictability, the rebel. It's also a lot of fun, by the way, because the 5 rules, quick-wittedness, you know, laughing, seeing the humor in things. It's the entertainer. It's the guy that always is the life of the party, you know, or the girl that's always like exciting to be around and always interesting to talk to, because there's always something they have.
Adventure. It's very adventurous energy.
And it rules travel, funnily enough.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
And with lockdowns and countries and borders shut down, if it's got the energy of travel, what are we talking about here? We're talking travel in a different way. We're talking astral travel. Yeah. We're talking travel outside the body and with the mind. Yeah. So
I mean, honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't think it's that far-fetched. Like, I do think that you know, time travel, bilocating, you know, portals could be a thing by the end of this year. So travel in a whole different way than, you know, than what we're used to. And I know that may be really far out there for some people, but, you know, if disclosure comes hard and fast, and, you know, ET disclosure is there, then there's so much technology that, you know, and to be honest, I truly believe, and I talk about this with my dad extensively every morning. We have very big chats about that, but it changes everything. And the real disclosure is about our star brothers and sisters. And, you know, that's the real, you know, because we open our world up to that. We open up to free electricity. A cashless society. I mean, it changes everything. Absolutely everything. Sorry, Donovan. I get a bit excited. Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and in disclosure circles, right, you've got COVID disclosure, medical disclosure, right, and all the inconsistencies and bullshit surrounding that. Then you've got political disclosure, right, and then over here you got your UFO galactic disclosure, right. When are they going to bring the information forward? We've been waiting so long, right? You know, they've been reverse engineering UFO technology since World War II, and they've got it. And there's actually government UFO vehicles, and then there's the actual intergalactic visitors that are the real thing, you know, and then there's all that confusion. They're like, and some of the drip feed disclosures coming out, you know, and the stuff surrounding Space Force and what that's actually for, what it's all about, what its actual role is, you know, it's very interesting timing as this is all coming, that things like that are being put in place, right, as other things fall down. So what I was just going to go on to is that what they showed me too is the energy of 2021 is like this, right? Now, I don't know if you guys noticed the language that has changed. When we came to the year 2000, and every year up till last year, we'd call it 2000 end. 2000 end. Have you noticed since we got to 2020, it's no longer called, hardly anyone says 2020, they say 2020. So what they showed me in these downloads about this year and why I can feel that things are going to continue and really a lot of what needs to happen is going to take till March is because you've got 20, right, is the year 2020 still, so 20 and 21, which is the 3, the year 2020 energy is still coming through for 3 months. Very, very much. Like we're still very much in the 2020 energy. And it shows me that they showed me that with the 3, the 2 plus 1 with the 21, it's 3 months till you really start to enter the energy of 2021. So, and what they also showed me is that there's all these simultaneous realities playing out. So some people in the code of 2021, some people are still living in a reality that's from basically, if you go back to the year 2000, that's the reality they're living, right? Some of the people that just go, look, I don't care what's happening. I don't really, the changes, whatever. I'm just still living in my 2000 reality. Then with the 21, you get a 3. So 2003, some people are living in a 2003 reality. And here in Canberra, we had the Canberra bushfires, right? Where everything got burnt to the ground. Now, isn't that an interesting theme about things being burnt to the ground with riots and all of that, right? As the empire falls. So that's the 2003 energy, right? And then there's the rebuilding after 2003. So you've got these 2 other realities, and then with 20 and 21, 3 months in, okay, what they're showing me is the 2020 energy is pretty much what's it called? Like a fold over into this year for 3 months. And it's not going to be till March. If anyone thinks, oh, it's all going to be, you know, it's all going to be done in 12 days we're about to enter. No, we're looking at March. We can feel, and I've been feeling it for a long time, that it's going to take 3 months for the bulk of what is about to unfold to really be completely done. If that makes any sense to people, it makes a lot of sense to me. And then the last thing they showed me is that with the 5 vibration, okay, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. That's how we get a universal 5 year. That the real true energy of 2021 kicks in May, the 5th month. That's what they're showing me through these vibrational downloads with the numbers. And interestingly, just as I finish off, I just wanted to share with everyone the energy, okay, so because you know I love the tarot, and I feel like the tarot is so unbelievably the most accurate thing. It blows my mind. What's the 5th card in the tarot? It's the Hierophant, right?
Taurus.
Right. Now, as soon as I describe the key words to you guys and you think about what's happening on every level at the moment, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and everything that's happening in the world and off the world, listen to the key words of the Hierophant, okay? Spiritual wisdom. So the Hierophant rules spiritual wisdom, religious beliefs, conformity, tradition, and institutions, okay? Reversed form, it is personal beliefs, freedom, and challenging the status quo. Now, doesn't that just say it all? It really, really does, okay? And if anyone's really interested, I won't read the rest because it's quite a bit, but what's interesting is what we're seeing currently, and I'll just do my very quick update on what I am seeing on a.
Or you do, I just want to interject there, Donovan, because I've always, and a lot of people say this, that the new year doesn't really kick in until the new moon in Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. So I did a quick squiz because I've been feeling into, I don't think we're really over the other side until after Easter for numerous reasons, and we can dabble into that. But I just looked up, the new moon in Aries happens on the 12th of April. So you've got the 3 energy there as well with the 1 and the 2. And it's at 22 degrees of Aries, 22 and 22, 24. So 2224. I just thought I'd just chuck that in there.
Yeah, awesome. Sorry, I actually missed most of that because my internet cut out.
Oh, no.
So funny when you go to say something really important.
Always. Never mind. We'll come back to that. Keep going, Donna.
No. It's too potent, too powerful. It's like, so you were saying something about the new moon in Aries is when the new year kicks in at 22.4 degrees or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure how. 22.24 on the 12th of April.
12th of April. Interesting. Okay, 12 and 4. Okay, so right. So,
this is real time here, guys. This is exciting.
So because 12 plus 4 equals, right, 16, which is a 7, which is the rules spirituality and the higher aspects. It's a spirit. To me, I love what you say, because the Gregorian calendar, right, is this one energy, but then there's this like spiritual calendar, and it's like it's an innate calendar, which I feel is ruled by the solar system, the time clock that we're spinning in, So I agree with you that there's an energetic calendar, which is full of codes, and I think that if that's the real new year, right, and we've got that 222 code in there, right, which makes a 6, that's 2022 equals 6. There's an element here that this is an in-between year. Right? And all the beauty that's really coming, honestly, I know it's going to be hard for people to accept, but it's really probably not coming. Like that real sense of, we finally got somewhere, until 2022 with that beautiful 6 universal love, unconditional loving energy, birthing a new world, birthing a whole new system on the planet.
Yeah.
So, but what I was just going to say before is that, like, so with what we've just witnessed, what we're witnessing with that Hierophant talking about institutions not conforming to the status quo and the breaking down of traditions, and it is become very, like, it's biblical. It feels very religious. It's like we're in a big biblical time. And I remember talking about Trump, and he's got all the 4s in his numbers, and the 4 in the tarot is the emperor. And I could feel that he's got that emperor energy. And then all this stuff's come out about all roads lead to Rome, and then all the fraud relating to the Vatican and Rome. And I'm like, the emperor of Rome, like, so there's so much that just makes sense about that. But with what we're actually witnessing is the crumbling of an empire. That's what it feels like to me, and everything that's coming out and that we're witnessing, it's literally like showing that's what it is. It's this empire that is like, it's like the fall of Rome. It's like anyone who had a past life in the fall of Rome, you're re-experiencing that right now in a modern way, in a different timeline, in this reality. So yeah, that's enough for me, but yeah.
Thank you, Donovan.
I'll just ask you guys about Mars, because I feel like in the year 2021 or 2021, Mars seemed to have played, like, I read a lot about Mars in 2020, when Mars was in retrograde, and then Mars was in Aries for like 6 months or something, and now Mars is going into Taurus until March. Is that right, Donovan?
I'll have to check that. Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure I read that yesterday, and then now I'm just curious, where is Mars going after that, and then how that's going to affect,
we'll go into Gemini. No, Taurus, and then we'll go into Gemini.
Yes, that's me. Okay, then that could get quite confusing again. Is that right, collectively? being in Gemini.
I don't think
Donovan's nodding.
Yeah, because the twins, again, we got that dual reality, right? That dual reality. We got this yin yang experience. So, and that's what I was saying about the number codes for 2021 as well. We still got the double two energy in there, which is still, again, this duality and trying to bring together this separation.
Yeah.
Right? And interesting. So 2020 and 2021, we've got source in the middle, the zero. We've got two realities, dualities, separation, and in the middle, source is trying to pull everything together, right, to create the one, which is new beginnings, a whole new way, a whole new experience. So yeah.
I'd just like to point out as well that Trump is a Gemini, so just saying.
He's got a lot of Leo in his chart though, doesn't he? I think he's the center.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, puffs out his chest like he's a Leo, sure.
Yeah, his astrology is off the charts. He was born under an eclipse, a really powerful eclipse. So, yeah, if you go listen to some of the astrologers that break down his astrology, it absolutely blows your mind. It really does. I encourage people to look that up. It's absolutely.
He's definitely, if you look at the Dolores Cannon work, he's definitely born in the first waivers. He's born the same year that my dad was born. So me and my dad always joke about who's older, him or Trump. And I think Trump's like 3 months older than my dad. And I always, if you go by Dolores Cannon and she talks about like, the first waivers of galactic starseeds, volunteers, whatever you want to call it, really came after that, the Second World War. It was like after the atomic bomb went off, it was like, whoa, Earth, that little kid is playing with matches. We got to do something because shit's getting really crazy down there. And yeah, and so if you look at people of that generation, that were definitely the first waivers that came through. And boy, oh boy, are they, do they have such an important role to play? And then obviously the second and the third waivers that are still coming through. Which I could say a lot about, but anyway, I will skip over that for now. Just want to jump over. I didn't get to interject, Nick, but obviously we're talking about the mask, and you're well read up on the different rules and regulations, but we didn't talk about the reasons why you can't, you don't have to wear a mask.
Well, so and I did a video where I wonder if this is intentional. Actually, it turns out everyone's exempt. So one of the, apart from all the mental health conditions, where we are, and I'm guessing everywhere, anyone who has difficulty breathing with the mask on is not required to wear one. Now, I've not been able to find anyone yet who is being honest with themselves that says to me, oh no, I can breathe perfect, it's great. And you don't require a medical certificate for it, despite what police want to tell us. So I found that interesting because I actually think it's intentional, and I think politicians are playing politics and appeasing the people who are frightened, while giving, for anyone with half a brain, a get out of jail free card.
It's really interesting.
So really, the government's giving the answers to the people there, but people are not.
I feel like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's all there on the website. It clearly stated that if you do have breathing difficulties, that you don't have to wear a mask. So it's all right there, but some people that I know actually get self-righteous, saying, "Look at me, I'm doing the right thing by putting a mask on." So isn't that funny? You pointed out in one of your posts the other day, Nick, where you said, it's actually all right there, but it's up to the people to take it.
But then I thought about the other aspect of it, and so people like us will talk about the fear and the media and things like that, but then there's people on my side of the argument with the masks who seem to not want to listen to this get out of the jail free card and just chill out. So they're then feeding into the fear narrative and things like that. And even though I posted in a forum, I posted here and there, and I know they saw it, they're still screaming about it.
Yeah, Nick, that's such a big theme. And I know I keep sort of like jumping all over the place. But when you look at if we look at what Trump's done to bring down a massive global system of corruption, right? The smartest thing you can do is to use the system, right? Like, don't be a stupid rebel where you just go, I'm just going to rebel and I just don't care and be apathetic about, right? If you want to be smart about it and really make an impact, read the rules, work out what's going on, and use the system.
Yeah.
To make your point, yeah?
You get these people that every 5 seconds they want to grab their camera and stick it in a cop's face, every interaction. And I mean, that's not gonna, even store clerks, like, I don't like being spoken to rudely. I will put them in their place, but at the same time, I'm not going to pull out a camera and shove it in their face unless, I feel like maybe I need to document it for some reason. But people seem to want that confrontation on that side of the argument as well. It's really strange. Whereas, like you say, just chill out, man. Just relax. So one of the real beautiful things about this situation is I've started to understand how government works, and that the vast majority of government in this country actually operates illegally, including the entire fine system. It's just not legal. Like, it's against the law. And it's really,
goes back to DC.
Yeah. And that's empowering.
There are people that are scared of getting a fine, saying, I can't afford to pay a $200 fine for not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't you just educate yourself? You don't have to pay it. They don't actually want to know, though.
Well, and you've got groups like knowyourrights.com.au or knowyourrightsgroup.com.au who Mike Palmer, who tell you literally step by step to do it. All you got to do is make a little investment. I mean, I've got the books on their way. They'll be here any minute. I think it was $260. And I've got a few fines just quietly that I'll make that back. I'll make that back probably about 5 times over, literally instantly.
Yeah. And I think knowing your rights too, Nick, like when you go out in public without a mask on or, without hand sanitizing, it does make you feel in that empowered state when you do know your rights. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, the first day I went into the shopping centre after the mandate was brought in, I felt brilliant afterwards because I walked in there and I got myself into the right state and I walked through there like I was 10 feet tall. I didn't take anyone's garbage. I think the girl at the entrance to the shopping centre said to me, "Where's your mask?" And I just said, "Where's your manners?" You don't ask someone, But I felt brilliant afterwards. I walked in and out and just that you're not willing to be told what to do and you won't compromise on your principles, right?
Absolutely. And it's like with the vaccine, right? If you do your research, there are certain statements that you can make, legal language statements you can make.
Yeah.
They know they can't force you to accept what's called medical experimentation because that's actually what it is, right? It's not, it hasn't been tried and tested enough. They know that, and you have a right to refuse. But a lot of people don't, they haven't read up enough or understood or researched enough to know that you have a right to say, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame.
And even if it gets tough initially, this all isn't going to last forever. Like we might find that in the next few months as they roll these things out, we will have restrictions on life. And I mean, it's no different to the mask thing. I don't go out unnecessarily, but it's been a wonderful opportunity to start to, bake our own bread. Start to go to the small butchers and fruit shops outside of the major supermarkets and really double down on that, supporting the little guy. I mean, we always talk about it, but we don't do it. So there's so much opportunity here as well. We're being forced to do things, me particularly, the way I've always wanted to do it.
It's so beautiful.
I actually, sorry.
You go.
I actually did that, Nick. I instead of going, because I did online shopping for, during the lockdown, I just didn't want to go out there with a mask on, and some days just can't be bothered. But I did that. I supported the local fruit shop. And he's just such a jolly man. You can imagine he wouldn't have been getting much business. So, and even throughout Christmas, I thought stuff came out in Target and JB Hi-Fi onto the market and supported. And I think people should do that more often. not even now in Victoria, you know, we've got easing of our restrictions, but yeah, continue to support the small businesses rather than feeding the big companies, because it makes a difference to them.
So important, isn't it? And it's so obvious. So I'm organic veggie patching again, you know, since gone the way they're gone. And what we're noticing is, like, in communities, people start to trade tomatoes for cucumbers, right? Now, how beautiful is that? And it's so clear, isn't it? It's like we're getting back to trading value for value, which is on one level. But what you're saying is, and it's so important, is one of the most important and powerful things you'll ever do is where you spend your dollar. And if a huge percentage of the community moves away from your Woolworths and your Coles and your big multinational corporations,
yeah,
the power of that is just so immense. You can't even, like, you could, it's so powerful. Like, oh my God.
I've seen this envisioned for many years, and I do think that this is such an integral part of it, is seeing like the dismantling of the big corporations and seeing this uprising of this like network of small businesses, entrepreneurs, people really tapping into their innate gifts and abilities and sharing that with the world. And that changes everything. You know, that absolutely changes everything. And that's why I'm so passionate. I'm probably going to run another course this year, because I love nothing more than helping people bring out whatever it is. Like, that is a pure direct channel of source energy that flows through you. Whether you're a healer, an artist, a musician, it doesn't matter. That is source generated energy flowing through you, and that's what we should be supporting.
And that comes back to how powerful we are, in that we can literally dismantle these billion-dollar companies at the drop of a hat, just as we can remove a government tomorrow if we decide. We can all stop wearing masks if we decide to not do it tomorrow. It's just so easy. It really
I just
is.
want to go back on the mask thing, because you didn't bring it up, Nick, and I should have led you down a little bit more. But I found it really interesting that you don't have to wear a mask if you're communicating with a deceased relative.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Yes.
I mean, that's still
legit.
got me going. That's legit.
Yeah.
So, you know, to all the mediums out there, or aspiring mediums out there, you know, if you're practicing your art and your gift all the time, that is an exemption from a mask right there. So when the police ask you, you know, why you're not wearing a mask, you can tell them how disrespectful they're being because you're currently communicating with your grandmother.
And if they give you a fine, I want to see this go to court. It has to go to court.
So entertaining. I have to say that's where I really got caught when I read you don't have to wear a mask if you're communicating with the dead, all right? And then one person came in and goes, typo, and I went, oh man.
Deaf.
Yes.
Not dead.
Yes. It was actually a typo. And instead I went, you know what? That proves that any one of us, if we're not really discerning, we can suddenly get caught out. We go, share. And then you're like, oh my God, I looked like an idiot. So I took it. I took it down. But it was, you know, still a great conversation to have, though.
I freaking love that. I love that.
I just want to say as well, just off the back of that, people that, you know, are wearing a mask because they don't want to stand out from the rest in public, that they think courage comes from being rah, 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 I'll punch on anyone that says something. And there's so many people out there that go out in public without a mask on, scared and a little bit, you know, there's a bit of shame, there's a bit of fear involved, but they do it anyway. You know, like I was one of those people and I do it anyway. So if you're thinking, oh, I want to go out there with no mask on, but I don't have the balls to do it, thinking it'll grow. You can grow balls. It's okay. Just go out there one bit at a time, 10 minutes without a mask until you get there.
And that's why I don't judge people who do put on a mask, like, because they do feel that pressured, but they're working towards maybe that point. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Alisha.
Yeah, and it's like anything. You do it once and you're terrified. You do it a second time it gets easier. It gets easier. And I shared this with a couple of clients, I think recently. I have my thing that I do is that I put my headphones in, I put my music on, and I rock out, and I'm totally in this zone. I put my hoodie and I wear my sunglasses, right? And it's like, it's almost like an invisible cloak. And that's a way for me to deal with it and deal with it, because it's like, if I can block out the noise, then it's not, because I'm so energetically sensitive. Someone can look at me and I can feel their thoughts. So it's harder for people who are energetically sensitive to stand out, because it's not just what people are, you know, verbally saying. You can feel the vibes, and that can rattle you. And so I found a way around that to put my headphones in and to put my music on, and it just puts me in this space where I'm in this really beautiful vibration. And so I'm sending out all this love as I'm like sort of going through the shopping center, sort of anchoring in the light. And if people say something to me, I'm just smiling back at them because I can't hear what they're saying. And I just give them the biggest smile, and then they just kind of go.
Yeah, again, everything's vibrational, isn't it? And energetic, because, you know, Nick, I can feel from you too. It's like what Alisha's saying is like, do it however you are most comfortable to do it. And I love what you're saying, because when we talk about this time that we're in and having to show love and compassion and understanding for people, there are probably a lot of people wearing masks right now that they don't like it, they don't believe in it. They actually follow our sort of line of thinking, and you know, you can't assume just because someone's wearing a mask that they're just, you know, they're stupid and they're sheeple and they're unawakened, because it's not true. Like there's so many points on the scale you can be at where you're at within yourself. Yeah, absolutely. You should just find your best, most comfortable way to do it and run with that.
So when last weekend I went to I mean, some people would have seen it on the news. We went to Bondi Junction and did a bit of a march, and we ended up marching through the Westfields at Bondi Junction, chanting and singing, and everyone was coming out of the stores, literally thousands of people around. And the amount of people that were either smiling at us, you could see their eyes from underneath their masks, or were actively cheering it on, because they were walking around in a mask that they didn't want to wear. And I think too, like even these little gestures of going to the shops or something for 10 minutes without one, you'd be amazed at how many people you trigger who go, you know what, if that person can do it, maybe I can as well. But there are people that are doing it who don't, and a lot that don't want to be doing it.
And I think I saw that, you know, maybe not now because it's a lot more relaxed here in Victoria, but you know, it was very strict. And then, you know, bit by bit. And I found that when I was I was very selective of where I went, because I try to like merge in a little bit. And so it was like Anna, if I didn't need to go out, I wouldn't go out. But, you know, every time I went, I was a bit selective, and I'd go in knowing that it was okay because it was a local people. The amount of times I went into a store, went into an environment, and they saw that I wasn't wearing a mask and they took theirs off, was beautiful. You know, and there was one instance where I was surrounded by maybe 6 other people and everyone took it off. And it was like, yeah, it's just, it's enforcing that courage. It's reinforcing that it's okay.
Maybe that tells us something too, that we shouldn't just look at when we go out and we see 95% of people walking around like that, and we just think, oh my goodness, this is terrible. You know, we're losing. They're all just going to do what they're told. Then they're not. They're under that, but they're thinking something totally different.
Yeah. And that's also, you know, consenting and following that mentality of wearing a mask. That's not just about the mask, that's about the vaccinations that's coming in as well. I mean, they're rolling out vaccines for a virus that hasn't been isolated. So I'd really like to know what's in those vaccines. And I think that's what ultimately the mask wearing stands for is, you know, you don't stand for masks, you don't stand for vaccines. And I feel like that needs to get stronger and stronger. I mean, especially with all the side effects that people are getting from being vaccinated. So I think people need to, anyway, to me, that's what it stands for, not just the mask, but it's also for the vaccine.
Interlinked, totally interlinked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they're doing it at the moment with the jab imminent. That's why they're doing it at the moment, because you've got one case suddenly in Queensland, the super strain. I'm waiting for the super duper strain.
Did they have a super spreader as well? Is there a super spreader in Queensland,
Everyone's
Alisha?
just super. But
well,
that's
hang on. Dale Holmes is in Queensland, so he could be the super spreader over there.
Is he still there? Okay. Yeah. Hope he's not in Brisbane. It's following him. Yeah, but anyway, that's all carefully timed to get people complicit with the masks and things like that, and then put them in lockdown so that they want to get out of it, and this injection will be the miracle cure. That's not quite the miracle cure, because we still have to do everything as we were before. But I still think that's going to be the catalyst issue. I think that's the tipping point in this. There's so many people who are just like, that's their line. They'll stick a mask on, but they will not put something untested, untried. And this is even people who tend to believe the narrative, who say, yeah, but that's too far.
Yeah. Actually, I've gone through this scenario in my head, because Canberra, we've been so protected. So protected. Like, stuff you guys have had to put up with. We haven't gone there. We had the panic buying right at the beginning in December last year, whatever. We haven't had mask mandating. We haven't, none of this sort of like, so I thought to myself, okay, what's going to happen is if we start trying to bring in mandate vaccinations, right? So I don't want to say what my job is, because I'm actually not allowed, and I don't want to, but obviously for privacy reasons and protection. But if the company I work for come to me, I sat there and said to myself yesterday, where's my line? Where's my line? What am I willing to sacrifice? And I said to myself, all right, there's a chance in my line of work they might go, right, you all have to start wearing masks because of the work we do. You have to wear a mask. I go, I can handle that. I can handle that. I will willingly do that to hang on to my job and my income, because I do need it. And it helps me get through my life in the best possible way and get on with my mission, rather than not having an income. However, if they do turn to me and say, you must get the vaccination, otherwise you can't do what you do, that's my line. I will absolutely not take that vaccination under any circumstances. It's an absolute 100,000% no for me. I will never take it. And if I have to sacrifice my job, I will. However, that's where my inner rebel, that 5 energy, I will find every legal avenue to fight that and say, you can't sack me because I won't take it out. I will not. So it's like we're all getting asked now to say, where's your line? And no one's wrong, we're all in a different place.
And I always take the operative, as I do, is like, as people get pushed to that breaking point or that limit point, it pushes them out into doing something different, being their own boss, doing that thing that they've always wanted to do, that potentially they've always been too afraid of, or thought they weren't good enough, or talented enough, whatever it is, that limitation that's held you back from doing what it is that truly you've known deep down that you can't escape anyway, that's on your soul path. It's like, as these restrictions in the 3D get tighter and tighter and tighter, it puts pressure on re-emerging, reinventing the individual in realigning with their soul mission and purpose, is how I see it. And the more people that do that, we break down the system into this more community style exchange of gifts and services and abilities. So it's kind of different ways to look at it, isn't it?
You just live in this beautiful, blissful, new 5D Earth, don't you? Really, Alisha? That's where you exist. You're already there.
I'm there. I've been there for days. So sorry, guys.
Well, you know how we spoke before about the fear thing, and like I said, the government had that clear get out of jail free card for the masks here. So I've got mates in the railways, and they sent me the information last weekend that they got from their union regarding the use of masks, because they weren't real keen on it either. Anyway, he was panicking. So I said, all right, send me the document. He sent me the document and I read it. And while the rules weren't strict at that time on what was going to happen, it mentioned disciplinary action if they don't wear masks. But I read in the fine print that their union was approaching Transport for New South Wales to encourage them to take a very soft approach to members who don't wear the mask. So while they were all freaking out, the union was saying, we're going to encourage you to wear them, but it looked, for all intents and purposes, there'd be no disciplinary action. So they were all freaking out, panicking. And I said, no, listen, it looks like it's okay. So in your situation, I would imagine it would be very similar, because the unions generally have a very, level approach to these things. So, yeah.
And they will stick up for.
Yeah, so I think a lot of those things, those potentialities won't actually end up a problem, particularly if you
100%.
read the documents and get across everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's just an exercise I wanted to put myself through. Yeah. Okay, I want to understand where my line is, And I think
it's a good line.
Good to know where you stand, because under these current energies, it's kind of like you're being asked to find within yourself what you stand for, what you don't stand for.
Yeah, and I think it's a good process to go through, because it's so funny that you said that, because literally, I think it was yesterday morning, I was thinking about you and your work, and I was like, oh, I wonder what, where your line, I must have tapped into it. But I always go back and see it as whatever we're presented with in this, in the 3D world, really is that simulation that allows us to go through and reevaluate what it is that, our fears are, and go through that internal process that it puts us in. And quite often when we can go through that and dismantle our programming, our fears, our conditioning, and go through that internal process, it does change the reality. It's like we are, and collectively we're put in that too. So, going back to that inner world and frequency, and how we can all shift our own independent reality and collective as well.
Drop. This is a total mic drop.
It was, wasn't it? I'm like, where to from here? And have you got any more sort of observations and things that you're noticing as we've moved into this new year?
As you guys were saying before, definitely with the two worlds happening. And I guess, now that restrictions has eased and I'm out and about more, catching up with old friends, things that I did before COVID lockdown. Now I'm like, oh, that hurts. Like, the beliefs, what you stand up for, how you approach life, how you see life. Like, now I can go into a room and I pick up energetic things like Alisha was talking about. It's like, no, I can't be here. And, long gone are the days where you kind of, very 3D and in that bubble. And so definitely noticing that divide in myself as well. Actually, it's not just in my friends and family, it's in myself. And I guess, like what you said, Donovan, where is my line? I think there's a line in everything, not just in vaccinations or masks. And but the last couple of weeks, I've just taken myself offline. I'm not really reading anything. I'm in my loved up bubble. I like it here. I'm having epic dreams again. And I think obviously at the start of the lockdown, I needed to be like really passionate and, angry about the injustice of it all, but as I was learning. But now I think I'm on the other side where I feel like I've found my place for the time being. It could change again next week, who knows? But energetically, this is where I'm working at the moment, just this loved up Ana bubble. And I think a lot of people that I'm coming into contact with are the same. They're like vibrating on that same vibration as me, which is good, because there were once, 6 months ago where you guys are now, Nick, with all your lockdowns and all that stuff. So, but everything changes so quickly. So who knows, by tomorrow it could be different again. You might see me posting angry things again. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Some people think that that's all a little bit all over the place. Like the last couple of days, I've pulled right back.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're all over the place. It's just that you're riding the waves. And, you know, I mean, I guess you're tuned in enough to know when to walk and when to not. You know, there's a time to cross the road, and it's not when the bus is coming. You know, like you got to know when to go and when to not go.
There's a song for that. What's that song about cards? Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
That's just, oh, Kenny Rogers. Come on.
Yeah.
I love Kenny.
Yeah.
The gambler. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
know when to walk away, know when to run.
That's right.
Actually, Anna, so you've brought it full circle. So again, what you described, and I love it, is that we're all playing a unique role. So on one week, you might need to be in a loved up bliss bubble to vibrationally affect the environment around you. And I might be out there doing Mr. Digital Warrior, social justice warrior stuff, right? And then next week, you might be doing some of that, and I'll be my love bliss bubble. And I agree with you, and that's that 5 energy, just constantly changing and moving, like Nick said, with the waves of whatever you feel is right at that time. Just love it, respect it, and do what you need to do. I think that's perfect full circle to that. Yeah.
It really brings it back down to just having no attachments to anything. You know, one day I'll be crying and Alisha has to hold space for me, or Jen, or, you know, and then like you said before about taking turns, whether it be in politics, energetic work, personal work, anything, we're all taking turns. But yeah, just no attachment to anything. I know nothing, and you know everything when you need to.
And stay as grounded as possible, right? During all that, I mean, that was the one thing we spoke about that with Dale and Joe the other week with the BQH session, and that was one of the big things I got out of the first part of that everything's happening around me, and you've still got to remain grounded somewhat to your internal world, I guess.
Yeah. And getting out into nature is a good way to do that. Like, nature is pure source energy, right? And after we're finished here, that's what I'm doing. I'm going for a big ass walk up a mountain, right? Because it's just pure source energy, and it cleanses out your energy field. It cleans you out, and it regrounds you. And I got quite ungrounded this week because I was keeping up with stuff moving so quickly. I didn't get my time in nature, and I already can feel how ungrounded I am. You know, so important. But we're having an interesting experience in the round table. So Anna, 2 times last week, you came to me in dreams, and I'm like, "What's Anna doing? What's this work you're doing with?" That's twice in a row in 1 week. You were in my dream in completely different ways, and you felt very real. And what people need to understand is I don't actually know you that well. We only know through the interaction in the group and sharing stuff and that, but I don't know you that well. But when you came to me in the dream space, like you have an energetic signature, and I can feel and I know your soul. And I know that we've had this in the round table before in various different ways, but yeah, particularly you've been working with me somehow in the last week, and I don't understand exactly how or why, but it's perfect. I love that, you know?
So you had a dream the other night too about landing softly on your feet. I had a similar dream, didn't I, Alisha? But I do know someone else that's never met me. We've just chatted, you know, online on Facebook with the posts and stuff. But he had a dream about me and said that he doesn't know me, but he knew it was me. Never met me, barely spoken. But I do enjoy working with you in dream space, Donovan. I hope we're getting stuff done, and you know.
And that's that soul collaboration in the work that we are doing in the other dimensional realms. I truly believe that. And like, it's so funny that we have that synergy in this group. Because I think Jen messaged me this morning, said Donovan was in my dreams last night. So, you know, there's that other throw on, and quite often Dale will pop up in, you know, a meditation of Anna's, or he's often in my dream space and we're doing, you know, clearing or anchoring new templates and things like that. And this is constant ongoing work that we're doing with our soul family in this reality and in the other. So, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I love it. I love it. Especially, I've picked up a couple of things about Nick before too. It's like, cool, I don't know you, but I've just seen your heart.
Yep.
That's beautiful. You have a beautiful heart, Mr. Stranger. And
I don't know if you remember, that was at a very, there was a very specific set of events that was happening around that day. And that was very, very, very strangely synchronistic. That was, that was intense.
Yeah, there's definitely an energetic bond between all of us, even though we've never met.
So, well, like I said, I feel like I've known you guys for forever. Yeah.
Especially now, since our group chat I feel like the group chat has become more open and I guess really sharing the nitty gritty now of what happens in our day. I mean, me, Jen, and Alisha, and I guess with Joe as well, we share the ins and outs, but it's good to hear the boys.
And it's so cool that there's 8 of us in total, and there's 4 men and 4 women. So it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool that way. And I just want to sort of finish off, because this has been something that's been on my mind. And obviously, Solstice, we had great plans to all be together. And obviously, thank you, lockdown. Thank you, New South Wales. Thank you, the C word. That didn't sort of come to pass. And that's okay, because everyone was where they were meant to be. And I felt that we were very all connected energetically anyway, and that we were strategically placed where we're meant to be. But coming into this year, maybe after or beyond March, I am hoping to organise that. And I have been asked several times if we're going to be holding sort of in-person meetups or some sort of an online conference or event where people can come and connect. So if that's something that you're interested in, please put some comments in. And that's something that I'm going to be working on with you guys. Some of you may not know that, but there's definitely something in the pipeline to bring the roundtables to the next level for 2021. But we have to be in the 5 energy, and it's going to be flexible, and it's going to be changeable, it's going to be adaptable, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I just thought I'd throw that in there.
That sounds amazing. I can see a vision of like us as a group working with a soul, and like Nick bringing his, Anna bringing hers, Alisha bringing, Dale bringing his, and me bringing mine. All those ways that we can work with a person on a multi-layer level. I see that. I can see that.
I've seen it. I've seen it many times. This isn't the first time that specific idea has crossed my mind in great detail. So, yeah.
So much fun coming out. Yay. Maybe wait until Mars is in Gemini.
We have to anyway.
Yeah, we probably will fall into that time. Cool. Well, just an extra plug. I'm doing a transmission for working on energetically accessing and activating spiritual gifts and abilities. So I probably will make this announcement now. It was due to be on 11/1, and due to unforeseen circumstances, Katie Jane will be trying to do a border crossing at that time. So I'm going to move that to Wednesday, the 13th. So it'll be on the just after the new moon, which seems really, really perfect and divine timing, being that it'll be the first of 2021. So I will change that on the website and write that up. But if you are interested in joining that transmission, it will be a collaboration once again with Jen from Infused with Light and Katie Jane, Vibro Sound, who do amazing stuff. And yeah, watch this space, because there's going to be some pretty cool things that is going to come through this beautiful fusion and collaboration with you guys. So exciting stuff on the horizon. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to contact me and send that my way. Guys, thank you so much. Any final thoughts or words? And until the next time, and we can unpack another few days or week whenever we get to sit down and record again, but it'll feel like eternity of everything that's unfolding. Until then, do you have any final thoughts or words?
I just really want to say a big shout out to the boys doing the research and truth bombing. I don't know how you guys do it, the amount of stuff that you read, and I really appreciate it because I trust you guys. What you tell me, like Donovan, Nick, Dale, I trust it. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for doing the stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you, Ana. Oh, and probably just shout out to Dale, and for those who don't know, Dale went into the Hall of Fame of being pulled off YouTube days ago. So I'll probably I did put a post up about where you can reach him. I'll put it in the details as well. His BitChute and his backup YouTube are still there, so you can go and click onto that. So
yeah, beautiful. Actually, Ana, I can't take credit because the way that we get so much information so quickly is from the network of people. You know, when you've got a great network of people, they'll send you stuff and they'll feed it to you, and then you can go look and discern that way. So it's so beautiful the way that, like, literally is this a movement of people all working together, you know. So
yeah.
But my final words, I just wanted to say that you know, you said something earlier and I forgot to mention it, Alisha. The other code that they showed me within 2021 was 2012, right? And we all saw the 21st of December solstice 2012, the apparent end of the Mayan calendar, right? Now, what's been coming strongly to me is a lot of the energy that is in the book by Greg Braden called Fractal Time. Oof. Now, if anyone's in lockdown at the moment, they want a really good read, I encourage people to read Fractal Time, because what we're experiencing right now, when we talk about timeline shifts and choice points, right? We're going through choice point after choice point after choice point at the moment. That is a reflection of fractals of all these events that have culminated to this point in history, such as, you know, the Bay of Pigs and 9/11 and, you know,
depression. Yeah, I've been feeling that so much.
Off of World War II and the insurrection and all this stuff. So yeah, I think if you go to understand fractals and how fractal time works, I think it can be really helpful in understanding. If you're going, oh my God, the world's gone crazy and I'm finding it really hard to get around what's going on, really, really good read, Greg Braden, Fractal Time. And that 2012 energy that we're in at the moment was, you know, that was the end of the Mayan calendar, suggesting, and a lot of people believe it took another till now for the actual energy of the ending of the Mayan calendar to truly kick in, the great awakening, the great shift, right? It's like it's taken till now to actually activate, and I think the Great Conjunction had a lot to do with that. But the 2012 shift energy is very much here now in the code of 2021. And the last thing I'll finish with is with that 2 and that 1. If you understand that the year is going to feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Think about that. It's not a bad thing, right? And if we can accept that's what it's going to be like, then we'll be in less resistance. We'll have less of a hard time. 2 steps forward, if I go 1, 2 and 1 back, and I go 1, 2 and 1 back, what are you doing? Slowly but surely, we're all moving forward. So it's all good. All is well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Donovan.
Cool. Rock on.
Yeah.
And don't forget to laugh. There's people in the world hugging each other in plastic bags.
I saw that meme going around, Nick.
You do. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you guys for coming on and sharing your wisdom, your insights, and just your beautiful energy. And thank you, everyone, for your comments and your likes and your shares and your subscriptions. And look forward to the next one. So until then, as Nick said, rock on. Sending big love.
Thanks, Leash.
Bye.